Today we will see the application of Rankine's theory for the calculation of lateral earth pressure. There are three theories which are commonly used to find out active and passive lateral earth pressure. First is Coulomb's theory, second is Rankine's theory, and third is Terzaghi's theory. Rankine's theory being simple to understand, we are starting with Rankine's theory. So let us go ahead with the details of Rankine's theory. Rankine's theory is based on few assumptions. We will see these assumptions one by one. The first assumption is the soil is semi-infinite, homogeneous, dry and cohesionless. For the simplicity in the calculation of lateral earth pressure, the soil has been considered dry and cohesionless. But its further application and modification has been done for applying the same concept to cohesive soil, so also by considering the water table. So for water table consideration and for cohesive soil, what is the approach to find out lateral earth pressure, that part also we will be observing. The second assumption is the ground surface is a plane which may be horizontal or inclined. That means if a structure, a retaining structure is retaining soil and that soil has some undulated surface, so that undulation of ground surface is ignored and it is considered as a plane surface. Now that plane surface may be horizontal against the wall or it may be bit inclined, okay, but the surface is considered as plane surface. Third assumption, the face of the wall in contact with the backfill is vertical and smooth. It is self-explanatory. A retaining structure will have a wall which will retain the soil. So that retaining face is assumed to be vertical face. It is not considered inclined. Alright, so it is considered as vertical face as well as it is considered smooth. Once we consider that surface as smooth, friction between the granular material and face of the wall, it is ignored. Alright. The wall yields about the base sufficiently to develop active earth pressure. When we want to apply Rankine's theory to calculate active earth pressure, this is the assumption which is necessary for us. This means the wall will rotate or yield or deform about the base to develop sufficient active pressure. So that means if this is the base and this is the wall would displace or deflect like this because of the backfill. Okay, but this deflection, this yielding would occur about the base. This is the meaning. The next assumption is the wall is considered to push the soil sufficiently to fully mobilize the passive pressure resistance. The earlier assumption is related to active earth pressure and this assumption is related to passive earth pressure. In case of passive earth pressure, the wall will move towards the backfill. So that means it is going to press it. Because of this compressive force, the soil wedge will move upward and outward. Okay, so this movement would ensure the maximum possible shear strength or shear stress which can be mobilized at the interface of the sliding wedge. Sliding wedge and stationary wedge will be there and this will be the interface. So at this interface, the maximum possible shear strength has been taken care. It has been overcome. This is the meaning of fully mobilized passive pressure resistance. Okay, we will move ahead. Now we will go for the derivation for the expression of active earth pressure using Rankine's theory, for which we will be considering a soil element. Assume this as ground surface. You can see in the diagram this horizontal line as ground surface. Consider this soil element at the depth Z below the ground surface. This soil element will experience some vertical stress and some magnitude of lateral stress. So sigma Z will indicate the vertical stress and sigma X will indicate the horizontal stress. Now we will say sigma Z is nothing but the vertical pressure and sigma X is nothing but the horizontal pressure. Here the soil element is assumed to be a two-dimensional element. Initially, before actuating the active earth pressure condition, this soil element will be at rest. Hence, in that situation, we know how to find out the lateral earth pressure. So the formula for lateral earth pressure calculation when the soil is at rest is on your screen. So sigma x equal to K0 multiplied by sigma z, where K0 is the coefficient of earth pressure, sigma x is horizontal pressure, and sigma z is vertical pressure at depth z. Okay, but slowly what would happen? The soil would exert pressure on the wall and the wall will start moving away from the backfill. So that means the situation related to active earth pressure will be initiated. Okay, so in that situation, what happens? We will see now. On your screen, you can observe the same soil element. Now we are going to plot Mohr circle using the values of sigma z and sigma x. Now observe, here this soil element is subjected to only normal stresses. Sigma z is normal to this horizontal face and sigma x is normal to this vertical face. This means both these stresses or pressures would be considered as normal pressures or normal stresses. There are no any tangential stresses shown. Hence, these two stresses are considered as principal stresses. Okay, now the next question comes, which is the major principal stress and which is the minor principal stress, right? So we will see and we will identify which will be sigma x and which will be sigma z. Sigma x is major principal stress or sigma z is major principal stress, that we will see. For that we have to plot Mohr circle. Now here you can see on x-axis we usually plot sigma, that is the normal stress, and on y-axis we plot tau, that is the tangential stress or shear stress. Thereafter, for a cohesionless soil, this line will indicate the failure envelope, right? That will be inclined at 5 degrees with the horizontal. So this line is the limit for its shear strength. Now soil is at rest. It is experiencing sigma x and sigma z, these two pressures, and now we want to plot a Mohr circle for sigma x and sigma z. How it will be plotted? It is very simple. Like 1 centimeter on our graph would be 100 kilonewton per meter square pressure. Similarly, for sigma x and sigma z, we will be plotting the values on x-axis. Okay, so consider sigma x with some scale and sigma z with some scale and plot them on x-axis. So it will be plotted in this way. So at point A, what would be there? At point A, sigma z is acting, and at this point sigma x is acting. Now the question comes, why sigma z has been considered at point A? Why not it has been considered on the left hand side of the circle? Answer is very simple. For this we have to go back to our previous slide. Let us go back. Here we can observe sigma x equal to K0 into sigma z. For example, value of phi, angle of internal friction, is 30 degree. So how K0 is found out? K0 is found out as 1 minus sin phi. Phi value is 30 degree, sin phi is 0.5 and 1 minus sin phi means 0.5. So value of K0 means coefficient of lateral earth pressure when the soil is at rest. K0 is going to be 0.5. Okay, what will be sigma z? Sigma z would be gamma, that is unit weight of the soil, and z is the depth of this soil element. Okay, so suppose gamma is 15 and z is 2 meters. So 15 multiplied by 2, 30 kilonewton per meter square will be the value of sigma z. Alright, K0 value is 0.5. So 0.5 multiplied by 30 is equal to sigma x, which is 15 kilonewton per meter square. Have you understood this? Sigma z value is 30 kilonewton per meter square and sigma x value is 15 kilonewton per meter square, and nowhere we have considered the shear stresses acting on this soil element. Now can we not say sigma z which has greater value is major principal stress, and sigma x which has the smaller value would be considered as minor principal stress. Okay, so sigma x and sigma z would be respectively considered as minor and major principal stresses. We know the definition of principal stress. Principal stress is that stress which will be acting on principal planes. Principal planes are those planes where only normal stresses those are acting. Shear stresses will not act. Okay, I hope now it is clear to you what is major principal stress and what is minor principal stress. Therefore, in the next diagram, we have plotted the Mohr circle in this way. Hence, sigma z would have greater value and sigma x will have smaller value. Thereafter, we will be plotting this Mohr circle. Okay. Now, the soil has started exerting pressure on the wall. Hence, the wall has started moving away from the backfill. Okay. What would happen? The depth at which this soil element is located, it is going to be the constant. Hence, sigma z, that is gamma multiplied by z, would be constant. But the soil element will experience decrease or reduction in the horizontal stress due to the movement of the wall away from the backfill. Hence, at point A, sigma z would be constant, but due to the reduction or decrease in the value of sigma x, now this sigma x would be shifted to this new position, this position. So this position is going to be sigma x now. Okay, again movement has taken place, wall has moved a little bit away from the backfill. Again sigma z will be constant, but sigma x will reduce. Similarly, the stress would go on reducing and sigma x will be shifted leftward because the value is going to get reduced. And at one particular moment, when we plot the Mohr circle will appear like this. Fine. Understood. This green Mohr circle, what does it indicate? It indicates that sigma x has reached its minimum value which is possible, and now this Mohr circle has touched this shear strength envelope. Means what? If sigma x value decreases below this particular magnitude, this Mohr circle, if we plot, it will cross this strength envelope, and once Mohr circle crosses this strength envelope, the soil will fail in shear. But we don't want this situation, right? We want which situation? We want this particular situation when this Mohr circle touches this strength envelope. That would be the extreme condition of plastic equilibrium. It is called as Rankine's active pressure condition. This particular situation is known as Rankine's active pressure condition. Alright, hence this green circle would be the limiting Mohr circle for this given type of soil. So sigma z constant and sigma x will have the minimum value. Therefore, sigma z would be treated as major principal stress and sigma x would be treated as minor principal stress. Fine, let us move ahead. Now consider the same circle which we have considered for the worst equilibrium condition. That equilibrium condition is plastic equilibrium condition or Rankine's active pressure equilibrium. Thereafter, after plotting this circle, this is going to be the center, point C. Okay. From point C, we will be drawing this inclined line which is going to be the perpendicular line to this strength envelope. This will be 90 degree. Okay. Hence, CE would be considered as radius and OE will be tangent. And we know tangent and radius both are perpendicular to each other at any point on a circle. Fine. Thereafter, to locate the failure plane, we will be joining point B and point E. So, we will be getting this inclined line. Once we draw this line, at what inclination this failure plane will be, that we want to know. So here this angle is going to be 90 plus phi. It is very simple. How it is 90 plus phi? Consider right angle triangle OEC. This angle is phi. This is phi. This angle is 90 degree. What will be the remaining angle? Remaining angle is going to be 90 minus phi. If this is 90 minus phi, this total angle is 180 degree. Hence, remaining would be 90 plus phi. According to the properties in geometry, this angle, if it is 90 plus phi, angle made by EB line with the horizontal means this. It is going to be half of this. Okay. Therefore, if this is 90 plus phi, this is going to be half of 90 is 45 and half of phi is 5 by 2. This is going to be 45 plus 5 by 2. This line BE would indicate failure plane. This would be the failure plane. At what inclination it is? It is at 45 plus 5 by 2. I will show you this particular failure plane in another diagram. First, we will see how the formula for active earth pressure is derived. Come to the derivation. Sin phi equals to EC upon OC. Consider triangle OEC. This is a right angle triangle. Correct. Consider triangle OEC. In OEC, apply sin phi. Sin phi means this angle is phi. So sin phi is opposite upon hypotenuse. Opposite is EC. Hypotenuse is OC. Okay. Thereafter, we want to substitute the values of stresses or pressure in this formula. Now observe, what is EC? EC is nothing but the radius. So can we not say EC is equal to BC? Yes, of course. So this BC and this EC both are equal in magnitude. How to get value of BC? That is very simple. Consider this distance. How much it is? This distance is going to be value of sigma z. So this is sigma z value. How much is this? This distance is nothing but the magnitude of sigma x. Okay. We want BC. Now can we not say sigma z minus sigma x is nothing but AB, or OA minus OB is nothing but AB? What is AB? This AB is nothing but the diameter of this circle. Half of that would be the radius. What is half of that? It is BC. Now see, OA is sigma z, OB is sigma x. Hence sigma z minus sigma x would be AB. We want half of that. So it will be sigma z minus sigma x divided by 2. That value is equal to BC. But BC is equal to EC. Hence, in the numerator, EC can be replaced by this quantity, sigma z minus sigma x divided by 2. Okay, this has become numerator. Now, let us go for denominator. What is OC? This distance is OC. Okay, now by simple observation we can say it is nothing but the average. It is nothing but the average of OB and OA, that is sigma x and sigma z. How to calculate average? Sigma z plus sigma x divided by 2 would be this. Okay, hence in the denominator OC has been replaced by this quantity. Alright, so sin phi has now become sigma z minus sigma x divided by 2, completely divided by sigma z plus sigma x divided by 2. Now the further step, this 2 and this 2 we can cancel. What will remain? Sin phi equal to sigma z minus sigma x divided by sigma z plus sigma x. Now rearrange the terms. We want to find out relation between sigma z and sigma x, right? Phi is known to us. Hence rearrange the terms in such a way that we will be getting relation between sigma z and sigma x. So ultimately what we get? We get this particular equation. Sigma x divided by sigma z equals to 1 minus sin phi divided by 1 plus sin phi. Again, this RHS is a dimensionless parameter or ratio. What is sigma x? Sigma x horizontal pressure and sigma z is vertical pressure. So if we take this sigma z on the other side and if we put sigma x as it is, can we not say it is the horizontal pressure which is equal to 1 minus sin phi upon 1 plus sin phi multiplied by sigma z. This is what is written below. Okay, so sigma x, which is the horizontal pressure, it has been replaced by PA. Sigma z has been taken on RHS, so here it has been written. Okay, this calculation has been carried out for active condition of earth pressure, hence sigma x has been replaced by P suffix A. This is small p and this is A. So active earth pressure PA equals to 1 minus sin phi divided by 1 plus sin phi multiplied by sigma z. So remember, this is a complete quantity and to this quantity we need to multiply sigma z. What is sigma z? It is gamma multiplied by z, unit weight multiplied by depth of the soil. Hence PA is further simplified as PA equals to Ka multiplied by gamma z. Just compare this formula with the previous one. What would be your conclusion? That gamma z is replacing sigma z and Ka is replacing 1 minus sin phi upon 1 plus sin phi. So Ka is found out as 1 minus sin phi divided by 1 plus sin phi. This is called as active earth pressure and Ka is called as coefficient of lateral earth pressure. Okay, in active condition. It is also found out with the help of this formula, that is tan square 45 minus 5 by 2. Okay, this is nothing but the trigonometric relation between 1 minus sin phi upon 1 plus sin phi and tangent formula. Okay, it is just the inter-replacement. So Ka equals to tan square 45 minus 5 by 2. Either we can find out Ka value in this way or as mentioned above, that is 1 minus sin phi upon 1 plus sin phi. This way we have found out active earth pressure. Now in this diagram we can physically observe what is going to happen actually. This particular structure is retaining wall. This is backfill. This wall has started moving outward away from the backfill. This soil wedge has started moving down. Hence, the stationary part of the soil will exert resistance to this movement. This resistance is against the direction of action of pressure on this wall. That means to some extent this resisting force is reducing the pressure on this vertical face of the wall. Therefore, the active earth pressure always has the minimum magnitude. This is the reason behind the minimum value of active earth pressure. Okay, and this angle 45 plus 5 by 2. This is the angle made by failure plane with the horizontal. Now this horizontal plane is nothing but that plane which is parallel to this horizontal plane. We can easily make out that this horizontal plane is for sigma V or sigma Z. This is also called as sigma Z. So this horizontal plane is for sigma Z or sigma V, which is the major principal stress. Okay, and PA is the horizontal stress which has minimum value. That means it is the minor principal stress. Alright, so 45 plus 5 by 2 is the angle made by failure plane with the major principal plane. Remember this point. Failure plane in active earth pressure condition would make angle 45 plus 5 by 2 always with major principal plane. Okay, now there are chances a plane can be like this on the left hand side or it may be in this way, 45 plus 5 by 2. Either way it is possible. So this is about the expression for active earth pressure. In the next lecture, we will be understanding expression of passive earth pressure in the similar manner. Thank you.